What's going on, guys? Just hanging out on Wednesday. It's feeling pretty good around here. Can't lie. If any of you guys know that we up and left Missouri last year, you probably understand why now looking at the Florida weather, because it is awesome out. It's actually going to be 80 tomorrow. So at least what we wanted to happen is happening, right? It's kind of like putting good out in the world. But anyways, I'm going to jump into some stuff, but if you are not signed up for the Newsy Nudist or didn't get the email yesterday, definitely check your spam or promotions. But we send out a monthly newsletter and it's got good stuff in there, things you can save. Maybe it's not relevant today, but maybe you are like, oh, what is that one thing that she put out that one time? So yeah, just do that or drop your email below and I can add you. But feel free to send that on to people too. If you have someone that you think would be more interested in reading a newsletter versus isn't as Facebook savvy, or Instagrammy or whatever, feel free to pass that on. So it's a free newsletter, good information. And it kicked off a hydration challenge that we are going to start. So I'll make sure to post details about that too. But basically posting something awesome like 48 ounces of amazingness. This thing turned out way cooler than I even expected. I'll let it sit here for just a second so you guys can check it out. But 48 ounces, how fast you can drink it. It's not like 4 time, but just being aware of how long it takes you. So I've actually started something, especially since we're on this shred and coffee times are limited and stuff like that, that I drink a cup of coffee and then watch my little amount and make sure that it goes down 8 to 12 ounces before I have another cup, which is pretty good because for me and coffee, I just fly through it. So at least it gave me something to look at and be like, okay, I'm almost there. I can wait for another little bit versus just pounding coffee and being like, dang, I don't get to eat again for a little bit. But yeah, so hydration challenge. I'll think of a really cool prize to have at the end. We love prizes, right? And yeah, any of you guys who ordered your water bottles, they have shipped out. They have a little bonus package in there just as a thank you for those of you who pre-ordered of a hydration pack. So Numa is a brand that I'm super into. Their coconut water is banging and the macros are so good. And they came out with hydration packs, which are really nice to have kind of on the go. Sometimes you feel like your water doesn't stick the same, right? So adding something like this adds a little bit of flavor, adds a little bit of electrolytes, might help it kind of stick around. So we'll talk more hydration as we get into the challenge. But again, check your email, look into that. And then quick training update. If you saw that, it's pretty cool. Again, the program's called Thunderbro. Just learning a lot about a different type of lifting. So I was thinking about it. I was like, why are we doing this? And I'm like, well, Chuck's done Olympic weightlifting and we did a triathlon and we do 20Ks and different runs. So I guess this is just a different type of it. Very similar to what we were doing before in terms of, it has a little bit of a Metcon and it's more gymmy, CrossFit-y, but it's not, it's definitely a whole different program. But it's been really fun and kind of ties into one of our questions today. So absolutely great question on, can you build muscle and lose fat at the same time? And the question might have been weight. And so I want to make the point of understanding what it's like to lose fat at the same time. So the big broad scheme answer is yes, but it is so much more technical than just that big broad stream. I'm sorry, Brindle, stop licking the couch, dude. Licking the couch. Anyways, so yes, you can, but it takes a lot of specific attention. So to lose body fat, your body has to be in a caloric deficit, which means that you have to be taking in less calories than you are burning in a day. So a slight caloric deficit can help you lose body fat, right? So that's what we do when we're trying to lose fat. Now note, weight is not what I'm saying. Fat is what I'm saying. We'll get back to that in just a second. Then to gain muscle mass, it's more important to make sure that your protein is up at the highest amount that it can be for within your caloric setting. This is something you would talk to a coach about. And timing and type really comes into play. So to build muscle mass, you have to have sufficient amount of protein in your system to make sure that what you are breaking down is getting restored and that you're not tapping into your muscle for energy. So you're at a caloric deficit, but you need enough protein to be specific. And then you also have to have enough calories to make it throughout your day, right? So this is where timing really comes into it. So this is one of the reasons in this program we're doing right now, there's a large part of the day that's fasted, because the timing of the volume of workouts that we're doing requires energy. And so Chuck and I both need the most amount of fats, carbs, and protein during those sessions to make sure that our body is soaking that in, absorbing it, and able to process it in the proper way. So we stay at a decent amount of our day in a fasted or slightly fasted state, not only to burn body fat, but then to prepare to gain muscle during the lifting program. So you hear a lot of very specific things because it's not something you could do offhandedly. And so I don't want to answer this question like everyone's offhanded. There's some people in here that take the time to do this already, want to understand the right way to do it, and that's how you do it. You stay in a deficit, and kind of honestly, you're just kind of like maintaining life for a while, and then you make sure that while you're working out, you have not only the food to fuel you, but you also have to be doing the right type of workout. So you need to be in, heavy resistance training, weight training. Being in a cardio aspect is not going to help you build muscle. You need to be under load. And then you got to consider how much load can you have? Are you getting into hypertrophy? Are you, there's a lot of different things. So if we go all the way back to just focusing on the nutrition part, if you just are talking about nutrition, it's not enough when it comes to that scenario, because you are in a deficit. But what type of deficit? Are you making sure that the macro breakdown is appropriate to sustain the goals that you're looking for? And then are you sticking to it? Because it's not something that can be done lightly. And then getting back to the weight versus body fat portion, I want you to be very sure that if that is something that is your goal, that you are actually watching body fat and weight, because what you're seeing on the scale is not body fat composition, muscle mass. It is your total weight, which includes visceral body fat. It includes organs. It includes water. It includes hair, scalp, nails. It is a full inclusive number. And so to just get on the scale every day and say, well, I'm not losing any weight, if you aren't paying attention to the different parts of it. So again, getting back, it's possible, but this is a much deeper conversation and something that takes time and attention. So yeah, great reason to talk to a coach and sign up with one of us. Hey, hope that answers your questions. Let me know. Very cool topic, very timely. I'm hoping that's kind of why I'm keeping you guys posted on how we're doing on all this, is that we're learning too. We've had all sorts of different things where we've, learned about aerobic capacity and CrossFit, and we didn't really do much triathlon training to be very specific. We learned how to put on and off shoes and helmets and things like that, and we just kind of went for it. But we did train differently during that time, so there's something to that. But cool. All right, and then Molly submitted a question for Liz, which is a great question about, is the way that you prepare your veggies, really is what she's talking about, but really in any food, going to take from the nutrients in it? And the answer is yes, very simply. However, I would caution to say, cook it however you're going to eat it, right? Because if you are going to pass up on vegetables because you just can't eat something raw for a long time, right? Like raw broccoli to me is like the most boring thing, but steamed broccoli is so sweet. And then broccoli doused in butter or roasted or something like that is so awesome. So I would prefer you to look at getting enough of it and getting enough variety before you're worried about how you're cooking it. But yes, steaming, raw, roasting are all going to help release or even deteriorate different aspects of your food. So it is important to kind of get a variety. If you're someone who's like me, like straight rabbit, you're like, I'll eat all the types. Great. Eat all the types, not only in how it's cooked, eat all the types in variety. So, Sam Shopper here, right? I go in, I grab my same things. If you look at my checkout, it looks pretty much identical every week. As much as I like fruits or vegetables, I eat spinach, mushrooms, onions, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, peas pretty straight up. I don't get beets and carrots and all these different things that, to me, I'm not going to buy a 6-pound bag of beets and try and figure out how to make different routines with them. But each type of vegetable is going to give you something else. That's why there's keratin in carrots, and I think in beets too. I think that's what gives them their color. There's different micronutrients that are going to be in each type of vegetable, which is why something like an OptiGreens 50 or an OptiReds 50 are a great supplement when if you're someone who's starting to get into the micros or looking for something beyond what you're doing. Those things are fantastic for you to put in rotation, because what I was saying was my same broccoli, spinach, mushrooms, at some point I'm going to tap out on what my body needs from those different items, and there's something else that it's looking for, and that's when you start to supplement beyond that. So very good question. Yes, it's going to change it. The bigger thing to focus on is how much and what types you're getting before you're worried about how you cook it. Because if you're someone who just can't stand it, and putting it in a blender and throwing it down the hatch is the way that it's going to get done, worried about how it gets done first or how it gets done last, and worry about the other things first. Hope that makes sense. Really good question. I didn't think I would have that as great of answers, but that came out pretty good. But yeah, so last kind of thing I want to touch on that was in the Newsy Nudist, just because it's top of mind, is using collagen as a supplement. So collagen as a supplement is a great thing. You should go read this too if you're someone who likes to read things. But different types of protein powders, and that collagen should only take up about 10% of your daily protein intake. So collagen is what makes up our hair, skin, nails. It's very big in beauty products right now, but it's also in ligament tissues and I believe cartilage. I'm missing one other one. But the amount that your body can absorb is such a small amount and needs such a small amount because it's done on its own, that this is just a supplement. This is just helping it and make sure that, we're getting a little bit extra if that's something that's important to you. But it shouldn't be a meal replacement or a protein source, because it's not a whole protein source. It's only going to your body in a select amount. Your body's only going to absorb a select amount. So by adding it, sure, you're doing a little bit better for yourself, but it doesn't need to be to hit a protein goal, if that makes sense. There are other, when I say whole forms, it means that there are, 1, whole foods, a chunk of food, or 2, a protein that has a blend to it that provides more substance among micronutrients and different vitamins and things in it than just some sort of protein, So there are different reasons for type and when you use them and all of those things, and just reading that it has protein in it and using it isn't always the way to go about it. And with something like collagen, especially if you're using it for a lot of cosmetic or even muscular, I hope that hearing that makes you feel like, oh, okay, I can just use a little bit. Think of it as a vitamin, as an extra little something, versus like, oh, well, I pound collagen. Like, it's not, hopefully you kind of understand the perspective around it. It doesn't mean that you can't use a meal replacement shake to get your protein. It's just saying mix it with the right understanding once you know a little bit more about it. So again, that was in the newsletter, and some links to collagen if you want to look up some different types. That type is a big key. There are reasons that McDonald's cheeseburgers are cheaper than, I don't know, some Gordon Ramsay gourmet, because what that animal and how it's processed and all of those things is important in how it goes in your body. So at least do the easy thing by shopping smart in buying the right products, and then worry about hitting your goals, right? So great questions today, good topics. If you have any more questions about anything, I love being an open book. I think I know that it keeps me accountable for you guys. If I want to be what I tell you I am. So if you want to ask some questions about it, or know any more, just let me know. You guys have a great rest of your day and sign up for the email. All right, y'all. See ya.